Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Say More podcast with Lauralie and Phoebe Hagen. How are you, my girl?
Hello, hello. I think the next episode I need to do the intro because you're nailing it every time. So I don't know, but I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. This week, obviously, you guys don't know, but like we're filming right now on a Friday, which we usually film on a Sunday, but it's just been hectic. It's been stressful for the both of us. Today's been quite stressful for me anyway. Not stressful in a bad way, but like, when it's like a lot, when it's just like this week's been a week, you know?
And
Yeah.
people need to understand, like we're Friday, obviously. Normally we film the Sunday of, the previous week.
Yeah.
So now we're the Friday of the week that's already passed.
I know. And I'm
And
like,
we're gonna
oh God.
film the next episode on Sunday. And then I'm in the US, which is like 9 in the morning for me, and you're in Dubai. So you already went through your day, hectic
Yeah, I
day.
know. It's already been my day already. So it's like 5:15 right now, like in the afternoon. So which usually we film like obviously later at night and stuff anyway. But yeah, it's been a week. But obviously we can kind of catch up and stuff about that later and stuff. But no, it's
How
been
was
good.
today for you? How, like,
Like today was like so today I had kind of like no like meetings or like clients, like anyone that I kind of had to get back to. So I was like, okay, let's do like small stuff. Let's do like admin work. Let's do all the boring stuff, right? And you just don't realize, like, when you just leave it, when you just have loads of little jobs like to do. And I was like, oh my God, I've got so much to do. Like, and do you know what? I've been using this little app to kind of like, I'm a big, like, I think you're the same. You're a big notes person. Like my notes on my phone
notes
is
on notes?
chaos. It's chaos. So I'm like, I need another app so I can just have like a to-do list. So it kind of like just is a bit more organized. So I downloaded something like that and then like got all of that like organized, ticked off, all that type of thing. Me and Max went to like a little coffee shop, just sat down and like, right, let's work. We both were like opposite ends or next to each other. We were like working and we like looked at each other like 3 hours later, like, should we go? And we're like, yeah, let's go. So um but apart from that, oh my God, have you got what's it called? The new thing on Instagram.
Okay, I saw it on your profile, obviously, and I'm like, of course she's already like on it. It's called Threads, right?
Yeah. Have you done it?
No.
Oh my God, please do it. Can we set you up now? It's
So
so
explain
easy.
to me, like, the
So it's
feature.
so it's kind of like, well, it is pretty much exactly like Twitter. So like, I don't know, have you used Twitter and stuff like that before?
Oh my
Like
God, like back in
years
like
ago. Yeah.
2002. Like, I don't even know.
Yeah, like so long ago. Like I used it like so long ago. So I feel like it's pretty much the exact same as that, but it's obviously like linked to Instagram. So obviously all the people that follow you can then like just pretty much almost automatically follow you. Whereas like I feel obviously with like Twitter, you have to build it up and this and the other. And it's so funny because everyone's so unhinged on there. Everyone's just choosing like not violence, but just choosing like savageness, just writing just unhinged thoughts, random things in their brain. I'm even doing the same, and I'm like, why am I doing this? But it's also just kind of just fun. Like it's not being taken seriously. Like people are just like, there's some people that obviously like going on there and using it for business and like advertising things and this and the other, but loads of people are just going on there just connecting with people, and it's kind of fun to be fair.
Okay.
Yeah, you're like,
Because your first post was a check-in post, and you were like, "What are
oh
you guys
yeah,
thinking about it?" So it's basically a story, a public story where people can comment and
yeah.
tell their opinion.
And
And
they
does
can
it
they can
stay?
they can like, so it's like, like it's literally exactly the same as Twitter. So it's like when you post, it's like comment or it's like retweet, but it's like requote. So you can re-put it on then your profile and stuff like that. So it's pretty much exactly the same as Twitter, really. But it's just linked to Instagram. But it actually is quite fun because it's not, a lot of people from what I can see aren't taking it like massively seriously, but it is just another thing to add on to the social media list. I haven't even got TikTok down. I'm over TikTok already, and now we've got this. I'm like, right. But I was on
Does
there
the
for
fact that
ages
it's within
yesterday.
this within the same app, I feel like it's less overwhelming than just
Yeah. It's,
like
you have
all
to
that?
download a second app. So it is a second app, but you can easily connect it through Instagram. So you can just click on Instagram and then it will just switch to that app. So it's not that bad, but I know it's just more
You might
storage on my phone.
yeah, you might have
More
lost me just right there. Yeah.
You're like, no, definitely not doing it. Not a chance. Maybe I'll convince her. So maybe by this episode, at the time this episode goes up, I might have convinced her to
Have
get
you
it.
worked out already? Have you got everything down? Like, is it your rest day today?
Today's a rest day, yeah. So today's my rest day. I've been doing like spin class and stuff recently for my cardio because I've really just enjoying cardio. Like this time, like obviously I know like cardio for everyone is different, and I always try and use cardio as a time for like myself. Sometimes obviously I'll be on social media, check in, like message people back, that type of thing. But I want to just use it as like, I want to enjoy this time. Like I don't want to just be counting down the clock. I don't want to have to like be like, oh, I'm only doing this to get me lean. Like I actually want to enjoy it. So I've been doing like classes, and I love classes. I'm such a classes person. So I've been enjoying doing like we did Pilates, like this was ages ago. This was when I think you were like 10 weeks out or something like that in 2021. And I was like off season, and we did Pilates, and I was like, that was hard. But that, I wouldn't say that was like a cardio thing, but I love classes. Like I do spin classes, hit classes. So I did a spin class this morning, and there was a new guy in, and he was like, it's just nuts. Like the people that do like regular spin classes or biking classes, they're just nuts. Like they live for that shit. And it's like, they are like up there at 6 a.m. like shouting, like, let's go. Like, and I'm like, I'm not even awake yet. I'm not even awake yet. I'm doing this because I don't want to do my cardio downstairs by myself. So I need an extra bit of help, an extra bit of motivation. So, but this motivation is good though. It is good. It gets you up, and it feels kind of good in the morning and stuff. So
Yeah, for sure. And it gets it out the way, and you already feel like kind of accomplished. Like,
yeah,
does it make you tired or no?
not really. No. And do you know what I like? Reason I like it is because it actually makes me feel fitter as well. Because it's kind of like obviously intense. It goes up and down, obviously heart rate, all that type of thing. Versus I feel like sometimes when I just do steady state cardio, I still don't feel like physically fit, if that makes sense.
100%.
Like they get you to stand up on the bike and like switch in between like resistance. So it feels like good when you're like, I don't know, it just feels like a good high, if that makes sense. So yeah, kind of did that this morning, and then I've just had a bit of a slow day. But how was obviously I know your morning, it's only morning now for you, but how was your yesterday or your week been so far, and just this morning in general?
I mean, the word is just overwhelming. I think we both were overwhelmed, and every time that we wanted to bring the podcast, um, it was a little bit difficult. But I think it's part of the game, and I'm glad we're just being consistent with it. So,
Yeah.
you guys that ever wants to start a podcast, sometimes like being creative is like being a creator is like difficult. Like you're good. You have a good, YouTube that's going on and everything, but podcast, there's just sometimes, of course, there's always something to talk about, but it's like you're aware of like we want to bring something valuable to like the audience and blah blah blah. So we're just, I'm glad we're kind of like winging this episode, and
Yeah, no, of course. And I think it'll be good to kind of talk about like, I mean, how we kind of get over feeling overwhelmed, because I think it's very easy for people to kind of be like, like they'll feel overwhelmed and they don't know kind of what to do next. Or like for me, I've definitely been in times where when I felt very overwhelmed, it like not kills me, but like it drains me for like the next couple of days or even sometimes weeks. Do you know what I mean? Like when you just have that overwhelming feeling just going on all the time, it can just be a lot. So I feel like it'll be cool to kind of like go through what we, I guess, do to kind of get over that feeling. And then we can kind of just obviously just catch everyone up on obviously what we've been doing. Because a lot of people were like, give us Olympia episodes, give us like what you're doing like prep wise, and stuff like that. So obviously peeps want to know what's going on. So I guess we can kind of update them on that as well. But yeah, I mean,
you're in right now, right? Like we're gonna be 17 weeks out tomorrow. You're in.
Yeah. So like,
that's exciting.
I know. So for me, that like we said before, I feel like I do like to just have that flip switched, like, and just be like just not early, but like thinking about it, and like from like at least 20 weeks out for me, just thinking about it, not getting ready and actually like getting lean as in like hardcore dieting, but starting to slowly be like, right, because we're similar in our off seasons where obviously we do need that. I prefer having less structure, being intuitive, all that type of thing. And then when the time is right, being like, okay, let's now add in structure. We'll add in structure around 20 weeks out, and then slowly kind of go from there, if that makes sense. And I think, obviously, I know that's not what everyone always does. Like, we know the way that we do things. I mean, the way that everyone does things is very different, like, right? So I feel like the way that I do things sometimes is so different to other athletes, for example. But yeah, we're fully in it now. Cardio got increased this morning. So we're just kind of pushing a little bit harder now, because our analogy is kind of like we have the energy to do that. Like, I always have a ton of energy at the beginning of a prep, obviously, because I have more body weight on me, all that sort of thing. So I would rather push a little bit harder in terms of expenditure, moving around more, that type of thing, with having like a good steady amount of food, than just kind of like slowly. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I think it's very fair and it's very smart.
Yeah.
To like use that period of time to just to use it basically, and just push your potential as much as you can. But do you feel like you need to push more like cardio wise, like to get leaner, like, or you want to get stronger, or like how do you feel when you go at the gym? Like,
I mean, for me, so I feel really like strength and stuff now is great. Like, I've been really enjoying like my training sessions and stuff like that. Like, things have been really good, which is great. And I've been getting stronger in each kind of session, and like lifting like heavy on like legs and stuff again, which is good, because I think that was one thing. Like, I think a lot of bikini girls could probably relate anyway, but like everyone's always like, don't train legs, don't train quads and stuff like that. And like, even last year I was very hesitant of, I'd still train them, but not as hard. And looking back at my photos, I'm like, I need legs. Like, I need like quads. I need shape. Do you know what I mean? Like, I need lower body shape. And I think a lot of people, again, not a lot of people, just me in general, I think I was very much not afraid to train legs, like quads and stuff, but because we want to try and not be too dominant in that area, I was like, okay, cool, don't train them. But I still need to train them. Do you know what I mean?
yes, you do. And I think especially us having long limbs and just being longer, like, taller, we do need the shape. And especially closer to like our hip joint. Like, I've been super hyper focused on the hip flexors like since a year ago. And I just want like the higher part of my quads, because for pretty much all my life, I would squat like never past the butt wink. So when you go past like 90 degrees and you feel the butt wink, I will always sit there. And I do believe that that has a lot to do with my growth with my glutes. But then it lacked that part of the hip flexor that you reach when you really go like down low and you keep your hips kind of like forward. So I do have a split that's just quads, hamstrings, and then glutes.
That's good.
Are you training 6 times a week right now?
So it depends on obviously just recovery for me. So it's kind of like, we'll see how I feel. Like, this week I've trained, or I will probably be training 6 days, because I do feel like I can. So like this week I've been pretty good. Like, I've trained all the way up until today, and then I'll train on Saturday and Sunday, because I'm like, I don't feel like I need to recover like at the moment, in terms of like, when you're just like exhausted and tired and stuff like that. Obviously this week has been hectic, but that's from a work standpoint. But from a body standpoint and like everything else, I feel pretty good. So it's kind of like in my hands. Like, if I feel like I need that extra rest day, then we'll utilize that extra rest day. But no, this week it's been pretty good. So I usually train like 5-6 times a week. One will be like a full body. If it is 6 days a week, it will be a full body, and then 3 days lower body, and then 2 days upper body.
It's crazy how we're talking and we're able to now be like, oh, if our body feels like it needs a rest, and we're listening to our bodies, but it takes years to reach that point. And I was just thinking how there's so much of things that are so in us now. But then you start talking with clients and you're like, how do you don't know that? Like little things.
Yeah.
But it's, we're talking like full, like when we talk is like, we're obviously PhD in like level of like education on like our bodies and like bodybuilding, you know what I'm saying? But once like there's been one time in our life where we were asking ourselves, like, what do we put with our protein shake? You know, like, do we put water? Do we put like whole
Yeah.
milk? Like, we just not, like, we were not aware. Like, we've been, you know, in the beginning, I remember my breakfast was double carbs, like straight up, was like 2 pieces of toast and like a spread. And that was
Oh,
my
your life.
breakfast with like oatmeal, you know? And
Yeah.
it's just funny to like always go back and realize like how far we've come. And
Mm.
I do think though, if you want to create discipline, that like a ride or die discipline, where like you're actually able to reach that point where we're like, hey, I actually need 4 workout a week only to like the growth and all these things. Like we need to go back and create that crazy ass discipline where we're like, we're not eating anything else but our food. We don't do restaurants ever. We just eat the food that we measure. We just we train 7 times a week because fuck recovery,
Yeah.
um do you
I
agree? Like
remember
I
those
feel
days as well. I remember those days like so vividly when I first got into the gym. It was like, I want to train every single day. I'm going to train every day because I'm a hard motherfucker. Like, that's literally the mentality I always used to have. And it's like, obviously, I think it's more like understanding our bodies now. Like you said, like we know what our bodies are going through. We know what we need to kind of do with our bodies and like what we need to understand, like what we need to put in them when we need to rest. Like today I was like, yeah, I could probably do with the rest day. I'll do my class in the morning and then rest of the day I'll have off. And like for me that's a good amount for me. So I feel like it's good. It's just knowing how to understand your body though, which like you said takes years. Like it takes such a long time.
and I think our goal have shift with like understanding longevity now. Like we're obviously older, like we've been doing this for like 10
Mm.
years, so like our joint, like I'm a lot more into like body works and all these stuff because I want to make sure that my flexibility stays the same. I have those like little bobos like everywhere now because I took the time off. I actually didn't train consistently, and when you're always in the training, always, then you don't feel anything. But now I'm just like, oh my God, my shoulders, my
Yeah.
hips. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And it's like now I'm like, in the past I would train, like I would work 2 jobs, sometimes like sleep 4 hours, but I would still go and just kill it at the gym and just my poor nervous system. I'm like thinking about my poor nervous system when I was young, but it's kind of the same thing that you're doing right now with your prep. It's just using what you have. When you're young, you're fearless. You don't have any like idea of the consequences. But then the more that you grow and like you realize that working smarter is always the best thing. But I don't think you know how to work smart if you didn't work hard.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. I was going to say, like, all the stuff we kind of went through with obviously different experiences, different preps, different, like, loads of different things that we've done within, like, our bodybuilding journey is all kind of amounted how we understand our bodies now. Like, we know how hard we need to push now because we've spoken about this before, because we've reached our limit. We know how much not to obviously eat post show or do post show because we've reached our limit. We know all these things because we've kind of done them already, and then we have this data, we have it all built up already. So we're like, okay, this time this happened last time, so we're now not going to do this. We can do this because we know this works, And I feel like you said, that just takes years to understand. Because I think it's sometimes when people are like, oh, I wish I was in your position. And I'm like, honestly, my position, like even sometimes when it comes to like posing, people are like, I wish I posed like you and like looked effortless. And I'm like, this literally took me 7 years. And even now I look at my Olympia like video and I'm like, this all needs to change. Like everything needs to change. Like this needs to be different. This needs to be different. Do you know what I mean? Like you're still learning, but it's funny because obviously, yeah, I think it's just different ways of learning.
Yeah, but whomever is listening right now, just take it easy. Just take it easy.
I
Do your
know.
thing. Show up at the gym. Like have fun with it. Work hard. But it's part of the journey, and I think how they say it's a marathon and not a sprint.
Not a sprint. Yeah, exactly. I
It's
mean, how are you getting on at the moment? Like, what are you doing? Are you, obviously, I know you're 17 weeks out, and I know you've said before, you're like, I don't start like thinking about it until like, I can't remember what you said. Did you say like 12 or 15?
so here's the thing. It's on my mind. It's been on my mind the second that I left the Arnold stage. It's been on my
Yeah.
mind. So here's the thing. After the Arnold, I set my goal. My goal was to get my hormones back to normal. It was to be intuitive with my food, getting my hormones, you know, leptin, ghrelin, like back, you know, like having the feeling of, oh my God, that word is so hard for me.
What?
Satiety, feeling
What?
full,
Oh, feeling full,
feeling full,
satisfied. Is that it?
satiation.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was like, what are you trying to say?
That word.
Okay,
That
got
word
it.
is very hard for me to say. So I wanted to feel like full again because you know how I am. Like in the past, I would not feel full. I would like eat so much food, and I would be at a restaurant with like a man, you know, like the opposite sex, and they'd be like, "Oh, I'm so full." Like I said, my brother, and I'm like, I could eat exactly what we ate right now
Yeah.
times three, and like not feel full. So I wanted to be able to just listen to my body, you know, like listen to the craving. And I think it was such a great experience. And I'm so glad I went really like all in, and I didn't hold back. Like if I was craving like watermelon one day, I would drive to the store and just get watermelon. If I wanted to eat a muffin in the morning, I would eat a muffin in the morning. But most of the time I was still eating my egg whites in the morning because that's how I kind of like starting my day. So
Mm.
that was the focus. And then I got my blood work done, I think 19 weeks out. And once I had my blood work done, I was like cleared. Everything was, you know, thyroid was good. And it was just a little bit of like inflammation. My glucose was high in the morning, like little things like that. I was like, I don't think there's any point for me now to keep on going with being intuitive. Same thing with my training. So I called Kim and I was like, what do you think? And he's like, I'll send you a plan. It's basically the food that you're already doing right now, but we're just gonna put it into like macros and the
Yeah.
actual layout. Just for me to have a layout. And then I was like, okay, um, you know, he wants to work on my shoulders, he wants to work on my upper glute, and he wants to bring my hamstrings a little bit up. He sent me like training programs, which I've never had before. Send me a training program, which is fun, and then the list of like supplements, you know, vitamin C and like turmeric and all these stuff. So just now having supplements back in my body, like vitamin D and vitamin C, I'm like, oh my God, this is so cool because it's
I
literally a thing
remember.
I'm just starting right now. So um,
Yeah.
I've been, you know, eating as much as I could, like my measured food and stuff. I still would go out with like, let's say yesterday I had a friend, she was in town, and I was like, just go to like this Mediterranean place, and we
Yeah.
got, you know, bobs with like rice and a salad and like half an avocado, and I can gauge, you know, the food, and that was it. Um, and again, more regimented training. You know, my cardio is 5 times 20 minutes. So I'm there. I have a layout. That's how I call it. But when the ball drops, when I'm like psychotic about it, it's 12 weeks out. It's gonna be
Yeah.
August 1st for sure.
Yeah. Because that's what I was going to say. Because obviously, I know you said it in previous like episodes before, and we've obviously spoken as well about like you could pretty much do like similar. Like this time, you've done it kind of similar, where you're like, I'd rather just have just thinking about structure. It's not like you're in prep, but you're just thinking about structure. Obviously, you've been thinking about it. Obviously, since you stepped on stage. Anyway, you're always thinking about it. It's the same as all of us. We're all thinking about it all the time. But like actually having that structure in just to give you just a little bit. It's just there. Do you know what I mean? It is there. You're not having to be intuitive. You just have that routine again. So then when you are in prep, it's just easy. And I feel like I enjoy that. Like I enjoy just having intuitive in my off season, doing my thing, like recovering, resting, whatever, at however many weeks out, like 25 to 20 weeks out, then start going back into structure. And then 20 weeks out, right, this is where, for me, in my mind anyway, I'm like, no more extras, no more this, no more that, like in terms of what we need to do moving forward, which I think that's good, like what you're doing. Because I know you said about the supplements as well, where you said you like to not have supplements. So your body is just like, when you then do take them, you're like primed, if that makes sense. So like you said, oh, light just went off. Like my, like your vitamin D and stuff like that, and vitamin C and stuff like that. Like you, all of these things you have, like when you go into prep versus having them all the time, which I think is good.
Yeah, it's just like a complete reset, like reset my receptors, like everything. And I think it's really helpful to do that though. You know, it was great for my mental health to take that time. And I think it's great for my mental health right now to have more of a structure with everything that's going through. It just helps me like cope with a lot of things in my life right now as well. And then set the tone for prep because like now I'm like, okay, this is what I'm gonna need when I'm gonna get in prep. You know, this is what I'm gonna need when the switch is gonna flip. Like this is what I want to keep in my life or not. When the flip is gonna switch.
Flip is gonna switch. The switch flips. Yeah.
The flip switch. Flip.
Switch. Yeah. I know what you mean. Though. I know what you mean. It's good.
But I'm not checking in with Kim yet. Like
I was gonna say, have you done a check-in yet or anything?
Nope.
Do you feel like you like and you haven't weighed yourself or anything like that either?
No.
I mean, the thing is, it's not like you have to at this point. Like if you feel like you're going good and you just want the structure from it, then fair enough. Do you know what I mean? Like I think I just check in again, Adam wants me to check in weekly. So it's like, okay, if he wants me to do that, I'll do that. Fair enough. But I think it's good for you to just like in my off season, I'll check in like every 2 weeks or even once a month, if I'm honest, like just because I'm like, I do want to disconnect. And it's the same with both of us. We just like to have that disconnect a little bit, which I think is good.
Yeah. And honestly, Phoebe, if I'm honest with you, and obviously all the people are going to listen right now.
Yeah. Like honestly with me, but then everyone's going to hear it.
I just don't think it would be good for my mental health to like check in the off season. And it's not because I know it's a tricky subject because I'm obviously not hiding on anything with social media.
No.
About the image and stuff, but I don't think like seeing myself in a bikini right now with heels would be helpful for my mental health. It's just not the time, and it's just not necessary. Same thing with me stepping on scale. Like everything's gonna come in due time, and I just want to respect myself. I want to respect my body, and I have an amazing coach for that because he knows the potential. He's like, if I know something is that if you want something done, you fucking get it done. Period.
Yeah.
So I think the trust with that is so important. And Kim gave me that unconditionally since the beginning.
I think that's so good. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's like, you know, it's like he trusts me that obviously I'm going to show up being my best. Like being on stage is extremely vulnerable. Like I don't think there's anyone out there that wants to be like, oh, I'm just going to go on stage like in a bikini in front of like a ton of people. Not like right now just because.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? It's like we are putting all our heart into it, and we have pride, and we have pride into like the work that we've done, like all the sacrifices. Like I won't step on stage knowing that I'm not giving my all.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
100%.
So I think he just gives me that. It's not freedom. It's really trust.
Yeah.
The trust that I'm putting in the work. And that's all you can do as a coach is just trust that they're going to put the work. Yeah. And he knows that he can only control so much, and which is basically nothing when you're a coach. It's just like controlling the fact that he gives me a diet. It's like someone told me, I think it's like Chris Aceto. He was like, people always tell me how basic my diets are. But when you receive a diet, it's basically just food on a piece of paper until you actually do what's on the paper. Now it's a diet, you know? Same thing with the training program. It's just a bunch of exercises on a list of paper. But if you do it, and you do it in intensity, and you do it consistently, now it's becoming a training program. And as a coach, that's really all you can do, and just believe and trust that the athlete on the other side is going to take it seriously. And I think Kim, even though he didn't know me like on personal level, like as he knows me right now, he just trusted unconditionally that I would do what I need to be done because I have my goals, and I don't have to always tell him like what my goals are. It's just so clear.
Yeah, he knows. And it's, if I'm honest, I think we're both lucky because we both have those types of people that do care for us and want us to succeed and stuff like that. And obviously, I think hopefully that's obviously always going to be a coach's goal. Do you know what I mean? Like it's always the coach's goal to want to bring your best and do what is best for the athlete. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what we'd always hope for the goal to be from a coach. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, it's kind of the same. If I'm honest, it's almost exactly the same as Adam. Like he wants me, obviously it's just a little bit different where he wants me to get ready early so he knows that there's nothing to chance. Do you know what I mean? Which I think is just normal in general sense. And obviously that's kind of the way that I'd like to work anyway as well sometimes, is just trying to be early. Obviously I think last year was too early, but I think we still want to kind of hit that marker where we are a little bit earlier. So potentially we might be doing a show beforehand. Or
Just
we might obviously maybe doing a show before.
You definitely have also the body to do that, like the amount of muscle that you have, like it's like you're able to do that too. Which is like it's a little bit harder on my side to do that.
Yeah.
And I think
you have a lot of muscle though. You have a lot of muscle. Like you are like, I think you obviously you said last time.
Easily though. Sorry.
Yeah, I guess. But you do hold very well. Like I think in prep you hold your muscle well, but for you maybe you feel like it's not easily gained. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's not easily gained at all. It's very hard. And like we're gonna focus a little less on like the density of the muscle now and just like work on being fuller. So it's a lot of like strength movement. It's more so strength movement, like a mix of strength and like volume, but more so just like pushing weight right now.
Yeah, like heavier weight.
Like not only heavier, but just like not with that much like tempo. If that makes sense.
Oh, so like pushing, like pushing,
like
you said,
tempo. Like let's say like a kitchen,
okay.
just 1-on-1 tempo, and just like up and down, but just with weight, and get like a good squeeze at the end, or like a good burn, you know, on the leg press. Which like it's hard for me because I love playing with tempos. I love playing with like intentions and staying in there, like the big squeeze and all this stuff. But he's just like up and down, like going back to like basic meatheads bodybuilding stuff.
Yeah. And well, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say that's literally how I built all my muscle, was being a meathead. Like in terms of like just lifting heavy shit, picking it up and down. Like back in the day when we started, there was a lot of background stuff like tempo and this, that, the other, but it was literally lift as heavy as you can, progressive overload to build muscle. That's all we had. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like going back to basics isn't a bad thing. I think it's always a good thing to go back to basics because you don't need to overcomplicate it as well.
No, exactly. And it's again just good for my mental health because it helps me deal with overwhelm. Like I'm just not overwhelmed when I go to the gym. It's not like a chore. I'm just like here to have fun. I have a goal and it's very clear, and it's been good. It's been good for me. Yeah.
And then
everything's aligning.
That's good. That's what you want. So like obviously like in the next few weeks you'll start to then, you know, think about more like prepping. Well, prepping is in like getting into more of a diet, or are you going to kind of like see where it kind of goes each week by week, day by day?
Yeah, it's been 2 weeks on the same quote unquote plan, which is like, you know, 5 meals a day, like 4 ounces of protein every meal, you know, lean protein with carbs around my workout. I have the same breakfast that I've been having pretty much all my off season too, without the bagel, but you know, the pancakes or whatever. And, you know, if I go like, I have a free meal, you know, either like Friday, Saturday or Sunday, my workout. So
that's good.
After that, I think he's gonna be here for the Tampa Pro. So I'm gonna try to go down there and in August, and we're gonna check in. But I think I might see him before that, like July, and then we're gonna be able to like in person, and I think that's gonna be key.
Yeah.
For the beginning of prep. When are you coming down to the US? Like, are you gonna go to?
I was just about to say. Yeah, I was just about to say my schedule's looking hectic, but it's exciting. I think I'll be. Well, I obviously know we're trying to still figure out like a time schedule, obviously, to try, because I want to try and come see you, obviously, and obviously we can train and all that sort of thing. So I'm thinking I'll probably come to the US in September time, which isn't that long away, to be fair. It's like 2 months. Maybe I'll be over, or like less than 2 months. So like 7-ish weeks or so. So it's coming quickly, you know? So I think I'm only in Dubai for another 4 more weeks, and then I'm out until November, which is crazy. I know.
I know.
It's exciting though. It is really exciting. So I can't wait for it. So, I mean, obviously that's pretty much the basis of where we both are with our preps and stuff like that. And I feel like the beginning of preps are very, for me, I've been feeling like you know, when you first get into a prep or like start thinking more about it, you get all those really excited feelings again. So I'm like looking back at old photos and like looking back at like the Olympia photos and like, I don't know, like I'm getting like really excited for it now and like getting hyped. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. So I feel
Yeah,
like
it's
that's
great.
starting to happen more.
Yeah, it's interesting because, you know, I'm always I always it's hard to remember, but I've done a lot of like short prep where I wanted it right now. So
Yeah.
like I said, when I flipped the switch, I wanted to look shredded. I want my abs, I want my everything shredded. I want my hamstring tie-in to like pop like week 2.
Yeah.
So I go nuts. But now it's kind of fun. It's just gonna be part of like the lifestyle and just um consistent, you know? I'm always
Yeah.
trying to think how like so you know Natalia Coelho, right?
Yes.
So this girl does not like does is she's never off. She's
Yeah.
just on. And we talked about it. Like she has zero interest on eating anything else, but I think she told me about a concoction about dry oatmeal. She puts like dry oatmeal on her eggs in the morning. I can't remember what she said, but I was like, and she's like, that's I'm like, no, but like what about a cake? And I was talking with Miss Olympia and I was like we were like, okay, we're gonna eat cake like for you, you know, it's fine. But she's just never off. So I'm curious how that works for them, you know? Like, I mean, it's
Yeah.
probably like an off season, like a plan, like it's just a
Yeah.
constant plan, but you're just never off a plan.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how we're all the same level athletes, like athlete level, but we all have different approach. And I think I think it shows a lot on like the character that we are, you know, the
Mm-hmm.
you know, the background and all this stuff. And I've changed a lot throughout my years, but I want to say, in all honesty, like I've never done a reverse dieting, like ever. Like I just didn't
Yeah.
have any interest ever about that, and it's always been part of my character. But I don't think it makes me less of an athlete because of that. And I think
No.
I are like I was worried at some point, like it was concerning because you hear all these stuff about, you know, that's how athletes should be. You know, there's a lot of questions that I have in my Q&As on Instagram how much you know weight of season is too much or how much like weight should I gain or not. And I wish I had a number for them because it would be easy
Yeah. It's
to just
easy to
say a
say.
number.
Yeah.
It's easy to say and I would just like wash my hands off, but it's so much deeper than that. It's like emotional, it's like thinking about your goals. And I think there's a lot of people that just don't know who they are and they just go inside the sport or any sport and they just hope they're gonna find themselves like in a diet, but it's not
Yeah.
really, you know.
I,
I'm everything. I
oh, you
want to
go.
build myself and then have a diet. You know, it's like something extra on me, you know, and
Mm.
not all of me, and like it's not
Yeah.
directing my life, you know.
I love how you said like it depends on like your personality because on and like your just goals in general and just your lifestyle because it really does. Like if that's the way that she wants to live and like the way that Natalia just is, that's completely fine. If that's what she wants to do, do you know what I mean? But for us, we're just like we don't have not interest, but we don't want to do that as a lifestyle where it's just strict on a plan all the time, you know? Like we've kind of like done it for, well, I mean, she's done it for years and stuff as well. But anyway, but like we like to just have that intuitiveness where we just like to have that rest and recovery and switch off, disconnect from the bodybuilding world because she's very much in the bodybuilding world all the time. Do you know what I mean? She's at shows all the time and, you know, which obviously that's her lifestyle, right? So, I think we just like to live like almost like a not double life because obviously we just like to do both. You know what I mean? We like to have like a little bit more of a calm, relaxed lifestyle where it's not so high all the time and go. But I do also resonate with you saying that obviously like when people ask about like the numbers and then obviously saying like how do you need to act as a pro or how should you act when it comes to reverse dieting, when it comes to just in general being a pro, because I feel like I hear the saying like said a lot of like if you want to be a pro act like a pro, but like what does that even mean? Do you know what I mean? Like obviously a pro is professional, obviously short for professional, so it's like yes, a professional, but to what extent? Like what does that mean for you? It's different for every athlete, like it's different for every pro. So I feel like that saying isn't incorrect because it's not, but I think sometimes the way it's interpreted is like you have to
It's
be
boxy.
on it. Yeah, you have to be on it all the time or else you're not professional. Whereas like the professionals like us aren't on it all the time, but we still succeed. We still get to our goals because the way that we do things isn't just one thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, that was really well said. And don't get me wrong, I have the utmost respect and admiration for like Natalia, but also all the
Oh my God,
athletes,
yeah.
like period. Because I'm just like,
Oh yeah.
at the end of the day, like we're all on stage, like looking our best and like we busted our ass off. So I don't care whatever you do, as long as you stay unapologetically yourself and how you're feeling and you're owning like ownership of your body and your life and like being a good person, and that's all what counts, you know? At the end of the day, you just need
Yeah.
to be a good person. Like having a pro card and being a asshole, like
Yeah.
you're more of an
That
asshole than a pro.
sucks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just so I think I just have the most admiration for people that are passionate and just uh live for themselves like unapologetically.
Yeah. No, 100%. And I think to anyone that's listening, obviously either getting their pro card or competing soon, because obviously I know there's a lot of shows going on and stuff at the moment, and you know we're fully into prep season, competing
Yeah, for
season.
sure.
Like anyone that's listening, obviously, I mean for me anyway, I would try and not say focus on. I don't know how to put it, and I don't want to put it in a wrong way, but try not focus on like what others are doing to have to get to your goal, if that makes sense. So like act like a pro. Yes, obviously act a professional way where ticking the boxes every single day and doing what needs to be necessarily done for your goal. That's being, you know, what you need. That's being a professional, if you wanted to call that whatever. But being Lauralie or being Phoebe Hagen or being Jen Dory or being whoever every day to get to your goal isn't always gonna get you to your goal, if that makes sense, I feel. And that's something that I think is always overlooked sometimes. Obviously, like I said, that saying is thrown around easily where it's like act like a pro to become a pro. And it isn't always 100% accurate, I personally think anyway.
I agree.
So,
I agree.
so
Be a
but
good
yeah.
human first and then be whatever you want to be.
Yeah,
But
yes, very true.
no.
So, I mean,
Do you have anything on the social medias?
I do have a few things on the social medias. I mean, I pretty much just said like, let's have a little catch up to see if anyone has any questions for us or anything like that. People have pretty much said prep updates, which we've pretty much already given. And then they kind of, a few people actually mentioned kind of like post-show blues and like what to do with gaining weight, losing shreds. There was a few questions on that, and like how we kind of deal with that, I guess. I mean, and it's always so hard because I feel like it's pretty much exactly how we've just spoke about it earlier. Like it's not always the same for every single person. Like for me now anyway, I mean, it's not the biggest issue, like gaining weight, losing thing. I love being this like bigger, if I'm honest. So like I'm always like, right, get me out of my lean body. I'm done being lean now. I'm over it. So for me, it's never been a massive issue, like gaining the weight, all that sort of thing. Obviously, I understand when people gain weight quickly or gain weight and it's uncomfortable, where it just on their body just feels uncomfortable, like digestion's off, like things post-show can obviously be different. Like it's not just gaining weight and just being unhappy with it, it's how they gain the weight. So I get that. I think I would say in terms of like tips on how to deal with that is like trying to not, again, like identify yourself as like, if I gain weight, then I'm shit. Do you know what I mean? Because I've heard a lot of people talk badly about themselves because they've gained weight. And I'm like, that's not going to help, you know? So I feel like obviously it depends, like kind of think about what you feel like you need to do post show. Like, do you need a reverse? Do you not want to reverse? Do you want to go straight into maintenance? Like if you need to have a plan, especially if you're a beginner, like I always think it's always good to just have some sort of plan just to figure out what you want to do, especially if you're new into the sport. If you've been doing it for a long time and you're still struggling with it, then try and figure out a way that works best for you and stop obviously trying maybe thinking I have to reverse or I have to do it this way and this is the only way. Maybe take a different road. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. There's so many ways to do it, but I think people when they start looking on the outside and not understanding what really they need, like, and who they are as their character, that's where it gets kind of messy, you know, and seeing the weight doesn't do anything. If you gain weight, like I've said before, I've gained weight during my off season, but my goal was to get my period back and was to get my hormones back and feeling like I'm able to be intuitive, and not only for 1 week, but like a couple weeks at a time. And it would have, me being in a reverse diet, it would have not make those goals happen fast enough, I think. So yeah, try to figure how you're coping with things. If you're someone that loves being in a structure, and you know that for a fact because you feel healthier and you function better on a daily basis with a structure, then go on a reverse diet, and good for you. But just know who you are as your, like, how your character is, like. And my God, it's time to like switch our focus into like a functional body. Like there's something so beautiful about us being like women into a functional body, like being able to have like babies and like have a beautiful skin and glowing and all these things. And not that we're not that when we prep, but it's just when we prep, it's a very aesthetic goal, and like there's no lie into this. Like it's a physique competition, and I get that, but a physique competition shouldn't go 365 days out of the year, because you're not competing 365 days of the year. You're only competing one day out of it, or like depending on the show. But I think it's a skill to be able to like flip or flip the switch, switch it off. But when I say switch it off, it's just maybe
focus less on the aesthetics all the time.
Reassessing your goals, and you know, shifting your focus sometimes on just if it's like your body doesn't do anything for you anymore, unless you're like a model and that's what you like, how you earn your money, and like you made a decision that this is the world that you want to be in, you know, for the rest of your life. Like that's also so different. But just do that homework. I think doing that homework for you is going to be really helpful, and seek for therapy if you don't. Like it's helpful too.
Yes. To be fair, I actually got someone message me. Yeah,
like,
I actually got
asking yourself the good questions.
That's good. I think I got a few people asking like who my therapist was, because obviously we've mentioned it a few times. Well, I mean every single time pretty much in every kind of podcast we're like, yep, therapy is going great. Because I was like, it's important to voice it. And I think a few people have messaged, and I was like, that's actually really good that people are like seeking, you know, wanting to move forwards and like actually like go and reach out for more further help. I think that's amazing. So, I mean, yeah, I completely agree with all of that. Like flipping the focus on, obviously it's still like, if you're needing to build muscle, there's loads of things you need to work on in off season, which usually there's going to be things that everyone needs to work on. Like everyone needs to work on something when they step on stage, you know, step off stage, you know, but flipping the switch to it, for it not to just be all aesthetics and that's the only goal. It's actually being like health, focusing on like you said, healthy skin, healthy nails, like just healthy body, versus it just being, I need to be shredded, or I need to be gaining muscle, or I need to be doing this. You know, you have to think about the other things and stuff as well, which I think is very, very important. Let me have a look at another one. Someone said something about bulking, like in quotation marks, and building muscle. Like, how do you kind of like, what have you kind of done to do it? And like, I think we've pretty much discussed that already, where we've kind of gone through different realms of, I guess, building muscle. Like we've obviously gone through progressive overload. We've obviously done different types of tempo, different types of exercises. And you even said obviously earlier with how Chris Cito used to speak, it's how you execute the exercises versus it being a magic book and being like, I have to do these exercises to build my muscle. It's how you execute the exercises. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not just, this plan is going to make me build muscle. It's how you do it.
Yes, and how consistent you are with it, and like explore like things.
Yeah,
because there's no one size fits all, and I think that's what the beauty of bodybuilding as well. But as much as I believe in science, I think you should be your own science project and just go with the flow and what feels good for you. Because I want to say that in a period of my life, the best way that I've built muscle was like to train 14 times a week, which like two workout a day for like 7 days a week for like 8 months. At a period of my life, that's what it was. but then I can be really positive when I build my glutes that were too big on stage. I was training 4 times a week because I only had access to the gym 4 times a week, and I would just go ham, high intensity training, like Dorian Yates style, and I was resting a lot more, obviously, because I wasn't at the gym anymore, and I've grown my glutes too big. So it's part of life, like, you know, the flow, the growth, your joint, like the energy that you're in. There's so many factors into it, but again, it's the way you execute it. But there's no right or wrong way, and I think you need to embrace that and not try to be the project into someone else's science project, but your own.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Okay, so last one is, what is your fave low carb coffee order? Which I know you're like good with this, and I'm so bad, I'm basic. Mine is Americano, either hot or cold, almond milk, which I know is boring as hell. So, and I mean,
maybe that, even though almond milk, I know you do. Like,
that's it. So what's yours?
So right now, I'm going there actually right after that podcast. I'm gonna go get a venti misto with a shot of espresso. And misto is, I'm probably gonna do. I tried the oat milk, the almond milk, and it was disgusting because I'm so used to like the oat milk right now because it's so velvety and it's so delicious. So misto is coffee with steam milk. So you know when it's steam, you have like a little bit less milk, and it's just the mousse, like kind of.
Yeah.
So and I asked like 1/4 of milk, so it's kind of like coffee like this and like milk like that instead of being half and half. Normally it's like half milk, half the coffee, and then I add a shot of espresso. So it's kind of a red eye coffee, like coffee with a shot of espresso. Because Americano is just hot water and a shot of espresso. That's all it is.
Yeah.
But I like my coffee like strong. So that's what I'm doing. If I want cold, I do right now ice shaken espresso with almond milk and sugar-free vanilla.
Ooh.
And yeah, it's fire. And oh my God, I've had matcha also. Like matcha,
I need to try it. I need to try it. Is it
great.
nice?
It's just the one at Starbucks. It's. I don't think there's any benefit to it.
Okay.
I got super bloated the last time I took it, and there's a lot of sugar to it too. But it's delicious. I think that because you like tea so much, you would just like the taste. It would just make sense.
You know me, I love my teas. I love tea so much, which is such a British thing. Like, and I hate the fact that I'm like, I love tea. Like, it just hits the stereotype right on the head.
So what is a dirty tea? What is a dirty tea?
A dirty
Do you know what a dirty tea is? I think people say like dirty chai. What's a dirty chai?
I've never heard that saying before, ever.
No?
What, a dirty tea?
Yeah.
That must be an American
like
thing.
They have milk or something. Because you know how you do like a dirty.
That's what we do with teas anyway. That's what we do with our breakfast tea or our English, like the thing is we say breakfast tea, but it's just literally tea. Like it's a tea. You'll have tea, milk, and sugar. And unless like Americans are calling that a dirty tea, because obviously a lot of the teas that you guys have are like peppermint tea, like chamomile, mint tea, those types of things, right? And you wouldn't have milk with that. You just have like it by itself or like sweetener or whatever. But the way that us Brits do it, we like to have tea with milk, depending on obviously what tea it is. It's usually like, if anyone's like from the UK listening or like from wherever, we'll have like a PG Tips, which is like a brand of a tea, and it's basically just an English breakfast tea. So, but I love it. I haven't had that for a while though, but I like my peppermint teas and chamomile teas, you know. They're my fave. So
yeah, and prep, they're great. And prep, they're great. Yeah.
They're my fave. But that was today's episode. Thank you for listening to our random rants, our random talks.
So random.
I know. But like we said,
I'm glad we showed up because
I know.
Yeah.
It's been a week. It's been a week, you know?
That's all we need to say.
Yeah, that's all we need to say. It's been a week. So, and again, we don't want to let you guys down. We want to give you some episodes. And again, this is our raw and real lives, you know? Like, we don't want to kind of like show up and say like, you know, we've planned something completely weird. No clue. We were texting each other back and forth like, what do we do this episode on? And I was like, let's just talk about how we're feeling overwhelmed in our past. And like, that was it, you know?
Struggling.
yeah, how we're struggling, because this week has been a week, you know? So, but we still wanted to show you guys the raw and real kind of what's been going on as much as we can. So yeah, we hope you enjoyed this episode. Like always, please like, subscribe, share, follow, you know, rate our show, because it really does mean a lot. And it really is so cool. Oh, we hit 20,000, by the way. It was on the day we released, I know, with the day we released our 10th episode, we hit 20,000 downloads. So thank you, everyone. As always, it means a lot. It's amazing. It really is. So we love you guys so much. If you have any comments, leave them down below. And yeah, we will see you soon. Much love.
Love you guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.